Hi, Tim Unkert here, and in this video we're going to install C# on a Chromebook and automate the creation of a worksheet for 100 problems where we multiply two binomials together. But first, if you like videos like this, please like, subscribe, and hit the bell for notifications. You can also follow me on GitHub and maybe give me a star there. Or if you really want to help support the channel out, I'll have a link for this worksheet in Teacher Pay Teachers in the description below, and you can support me there, and that'd be very nice. Thanks for watching, and let's get started. Okay, so we have the .NET Microsoft page up here, and what you need to have to do this, first off, we're going to need to install .NET. So we have to enable on the Chromebook, we have to enable the Linux Debian 10 on the stable channel. So I've gone ahead, I've done that. When you do that, this terminal will come up. I've also installed Terminator. I'm going to be using that, but it'll work on this one. Any terminal emulator will work. I just like Terminator a little bit better. All right, so we're going to go here on this page, and we're going to click on Download. And we're in the Linux section, and we want to go to here to install .NET. Okay, and we're going to scroll down here and go to Debian. And at the time of this recording, if you have a Chromebook and if you turn on Linux, the Linux container on the Chromebook, it will give you Debian 10. But I've noticed on the beta and developer channels, if you install it, it's installing Debian 11. So if it's installing Debian 11, just go with that. But we're going to go with 10. And all I have to worry about is these two things here, these two gray boxes. So I'm going to copy this one, and I'm going to open up a terminal. And to paste what I copied, I'm just going to type Control-Shift-V, and that's going to paste in. Okay. And then I'm going to go down here and copy this, and Control-Shift-V, paste it in, hit Enter. And that's going to go ahead and do its thing. And pretty soon we will be getting started. So one other thing, since this is a fresh install, I'm just going to go through setting up my Vim. I've already downloaded my vimrc from GitHub. I do store my .files up there. And all I'm going to have to do is just run and install the plugins. It's going to be very fast. You can watch me do that. Might be a few errors before I install the plugins, but then it'll be nice. I have set up so I can hit Control-R, and then it runs the .NET program, which is pretty cool. All right. It's going to take another moment or so to unpack all this stuff. And then we'll be able to get started. We'll be able to create our .NET program. Okay, and we're good there. All right, so I'm going to just open my vimrc here. And you'll see it came up with a bunch of errors. Let's check. So we've got all that. We have, okay. And I'm going to go ahead, and what I'm going to do is actually quit out of here because we have to get Vim plug. I haven't done that yet. That's what I haven't done. All right, so I'm just going to go here, get Vim plug. And then go, we want to copy this one for Vim. I'm going to paste that in. Okay, so now I can go vim.vimrc. Okay, and it doesn't give me as many errors. Good. All right, so now what I can do is just use the command plug install. Okay, and we'll go through and clone all that stuff. And it's the Vim Git Gutter is taking a little bit of time, but we'll get that done, and then we'll be ready to go. Okay. All right, so now we're done. Now if I quit out and I start Vim again, you notice that there's no errors, and I have that Code Dark theme, which is based off the VS Code theme, which I kind of like. All right, so now I'm going to clear this out, and I'm going to make a directory, and let's call that directory CSPROG for C# programs, okay? And we'll cd into that. And now we're going to create a program with .NET, the command .NET new console is capitalized, -o, and then the name of the folder. And we want to do binomial multiplication. So I'm going to name it that. And it's going to go ahead and start a new project for you. Okay. All right, so my project has been created. And now if I list out, I can see that I have that folder. So I'm going to cd into that new folder that I created, list that out, and I see I have 2 files and an object folder that has some other files in it. We're only going to worry about the program.cs. So I'm going to open that with Vim, and we'll get started. Okay, so let's actually make this a little bit bigger for you so you can see it a little bit better. And I'm no C# expert, so I'm going to go off my notes. I came up with this program around 5 o'clock this evening, and it's 8 o'clock recording. I'm like, I'm going to make a video on it. But I was looking up some stuff as we went. So we need some to pull in some namespaces here. So I'm going to pull in using system.io in capitals and using system.threading.tasks. And this is going to help me write some of those files. Okay. And so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go down here and create another class, and I'm going to call that create problem. Okay. And then let's, within that class, I do want to get random numbers. So I'm going to use random and specify rand. That's going to be my random number, and that's going to be a new random. Okay. And then within inside of here, I'm going to start a for loop. So I'm going to say for, and then an integer I that equals 0. That's where we're going to start. I is going to be less than 100. So I is going to go up to 99 from 0 to 99. So programming is 0-based. So that's 100 loops. So that's how we're going to create 100 problems. And I'm going to increment I by 1 each time through the loop. That's the I++. Okay, and all right, so then within that, what I'm going to do is create 2 coefficients and 2 constants, because the way we're going to do this problem, let me just show you these problems. Let's pull up a draw island here. Make it a little bit bigger. We're multiplying 2 binomials, and it's going to be, these problems are going to be of the form, let's say we have some number times x, so let's say 4x, I don't know, plus some other number. We're going to do numbers between 1 and 100, make it a little bit hard. So 4x plus 22 times, let's say, 61x plus 10. I don't know. Something like that. They're going to be of that form. So if you'll notice, we have 2 coefficients, the numbers in front of the variables, and then 2 constants, which are the numbers by themselves. So we're going to have to create 4 variables in here. They're all going to be integers, so I'm going to create them by typing int and then coef. I'm using camel case here. Coef1 equals rand. We'll use this method .next, and we're going to go from 1 to 101 because we want to go 1 above the number that we're at. And I'm going to yank this and paste it a few more times here. And then we're going to go up, delete this word. And then let's change this to const. And then also we'll delete this one and call it const2. Okay. All right. So now I've created those variables. And now we're going to create a couple strings that we can write into these files. Okay. Now, when I'm doing this, what I'm going to do is I want to use something like in JavaScript, we have a template literal. It's a little bit different in C#, but it's kind of the same in a way, just different, if that makes sense. So I'm going to declare a string. We're going to have a string problem number. and that's going to equal a $sign. That's how we can pass variables into the string. You have to put the $sign in front, and then we're going to use Markdown. So I'm going to do 2 hashes for basically a second level heading, and then we have problem, and then we're going to pass in I plus 1, because remember, I is starting from 0, but we really want to start from problem 1. Programming is 0-based, but anyways, just so it doesn't go problem 0 up to problem 99, I'd rather go 1 to 100. Okay, and now we're going to create the problem. And so I'm going to create a string, and let's call that, the actual string is going to be called problem, because this is the actual problem. We're doing the $sign in front again because we want to pass in some variables. So I'm going to say multiply, and then we're going to multiply 2 binomials together. So each binomial is going to be inside the parentheses, and we're going to have to pass in then coefficient 1. It's going to be times x plus, and then constant 1. Okay. And then over here, we're going to pass in coefficient 2 times x plus, then constant 2. Okay. And we got to go here and put a semicolon at the end. That line is, we make it a little bit smaller there. Okay, so that's a little bit of a long line, but yeah, we get those. We're multiplying those 2 together. Okay. The other thing in terms of formatting, I'm going to put /n here, just like I do in my Python videos. That's going to break it down to a new line. I'm going to do 2 /n's here. And then we're also going to have a little line in the Markdown at the bottom. So I'm going to have string, and then problem break. That's going to equal, we're going to do a dash, 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 and then a /n to move down to the next line. Want to end all of our lines with a semicolon, otherwise we will get an error. So you do want to do that. Okay. All right. So then we also want to come up with a solution. So I'm going to have another string, and that's going to be the thing we're going to write to the second file. So along with the problem number and the problem break, we're going to use them in both files, which is kind of nice. I don't have to retype that as I was doing in Python. I probably could have done it in a different way, but anyways, so we're going to have a solution, colon, and then we're going to do, and again, we're using the $sign here. Notice I didn't use the $sign on the line break, this one above here, because I'm not passing any variables in. Okay, so I need the $sign if I'm passing in variables. Okay, and I can multiply the variables within the curly braces. So I'm going to do, if you think about these problems, let's think about what we're doing. We're doing coefficient 1 times coefficient 2, and that's x times x, so it'll be an x squared out of the side of that. So we'll do coefficient 1 times coefficient 2, and there'll be an x squared. I'm going to just represent that. Let's look at, actually, we can probably do that in Markdown. Let's look that up. Just say Markdown superscript. How do we do that? Oh, you know what we can do? We can write HTML in Markdown. So I'm going to do there we go. I'm going to write some HTML. All right, cool. All right, the next part of the problem, we're going to do coefficient. Well, let's think about it. So let's go up here. So we're going to do coefficient 1 times constant 2 plus constant 1 times coefficient 2. We're going to add those together, and that's going to be our middle term. If you're thinking FOIL, it's the outer and the inner multiplication. So how can we write that as a program? Well, we can say plus, and then this is going to be a long line, but whatever. So we're going to have coefficient 1 times const 2 plus coefficient 2 times const 1, okay? And that's going to be the term in front of x, okay? We're almost there, all right? Because when you multiply 2 binomials together, you're typically going to get a trinomial. Okay, well, not always, but in this particular case, you will. All right, so then we're going to do the const 1 times const2. That's going to be the last term. That's just going to be a number. All right, so we're going to have plus const1 times, what am I doing? Times const2. Okay, and that's going to be the solution. And we'll do a /n there, semicolon. Make sure we have our semicolon. All right, so now we're going to start to write to the first markdown file. So I'm going to say using, and then in parentheses, stream writer. You want to make sure you spell that correctly. And we'll say the first one, let's just call it W. And we're going to do file.append text, and then the file that we want to append the text to, which in this case we'll call it binomial multiplication dot markdown. Okay, and then inside of here we're going to open up some curly braces and we're going to start writing some stuff. So the first thing we want to write to W is we're going to write a line, and that's going to be the problem number because we want the problem number to show up first. Okay, and let's paste this a few more times because I don't want to write line again. Then we're going to write the problem so I can get rid of this number. And then the third part, we're going to write the problem break. Okay, and that should be good for that. All right. We're going to use this again. So we're going to say using stream writer. And this time I'm going to call it WA. And that's going to be file dot append text. And then we'll append it to a file. And what we're going to do is we're going to call it binomial multiplication -sol.md. The SOL is for solution. Okay, open up some curly braces here, and we're going to take WA and we're going to write line the problem number. Okay, and then we're going to write the solution, and then we're going to write the problem break. Okay, and that's going to be our formatting for that. All right, so that class is created, but to run it, we have to call it from our main class here, from the class program. So I'm going to get rid of this. We don't want to say hello world because I don't care about that. We're going to call the class. Let's just, hold on, let me just see what I had create problem, and the method that I used, I forgot to use a method, so that's bad. So I'm going to have to go here and wrap this whole thing. All right, well, oops. So I'm going to create a method. I'm going to say public static async, and I got this online, task write, let's call this method write problems. Okay, and then we want to wrap all this stuff. So I'm going to go down here. I'm going to wrap all this stuff. Okay, and okay, so I've got that wrapped and indented. And that's not going to do it. Come on. It's trying to format it in some weird way, and it's annoying me. Okay. All right, so now I've got it formatted all nice and pretty because I want my code to be all nice and pretty. All right, so now what I have to do is I'm going to have to call it, okay, and I call it with the class, so create problem dot, and then the method write problems, and use an open and close parentheses for the method. And now I want to save it, and I'm going to run this with Control R. I may get a few warnings or errors. We'll see. And it's going to go run for a moment. And we're just going to wait a minute. I think it's a little slow with the video. But once that runs, so we got a few errors, or a few warnings, but no errors. So the yellow is warnings. I'm ignoring those warnings. Okay, so I'm going to list those out, and I see that I've created those files. So I have binomial multiplication.markdown. You can see it down there, and binomial multiplication-solution.markdown. I probably should try and fix the errors, but again, it's working currently. Okay, and I'm not a C# expert. If you want to chime in on the comments and say, oh, you can fix the error with this, I'm just more worried that does this work at this point? And it does. So, all right, so I'm going to take binomial multiplication .markdown. Let's open that up. And okay, so we've got these problems written out. Problem 1, and if I go Shift-G down to the bottom file, problem 100. So we've got 100 problems. All right, so let's go back up to the top. A couple things for formatting. I'm just going to insert a place. Oops. Place for your name. Let's do an underline there, and the date, and we'll do an underline there. Okay, and then we'll go to the bottom, and we'll insert. We'll do p-style equals text align center. Just do a little inline styling, and I'm going to say something like copyright, copy 2021, Timothy Unkert, all rights reserved, and then close out my parentheses, because you can write HTML in Markdown. Okay, so that file is good to go, and I can get that ready to change. Now I'm going to go to Vim, and I'm going to use Vim to open the solution file. Okay, and we see we have all of our solutions, and we have the superscript, which is nice. Okay, so, and actually the thing I think I uploaded to Teacher Bay Teachers didn't have that, but whatever. All right, you get the point. It had the caret and then the second, but yeah, this is even better. All right, I go down to the bottom here. Again, I'll just put my little p style equals text, paragraph style equals text align center, and we'll say something like copyright, use the copyright symbol, 2021, Timothy Unkert, all rights reserved. And then I'm going to close that out, and I've saved that file. Those are good to go. Now, I don't have pandoc installed, so I'm going to have to install that. So sudo apt install pandoc, and then there's another package, textlive-latex-extra, I believe is the package, and I'm going to go install those. Okay, and it's going to ask me, do I want to take up that space? Okay, 600 megabytes, so that's up to you, of course. But to get this to work, we're going to have to do that. I'm going to pause the video while it installs that. That's going to take a minute or two, and then we'll come back. Okay, and that's finished installing. So now what we're going to do is we're just going to, well, first list out the files. Let's actually clear out all this stuff. Let's list out the files, and I'm going to run the command pandoc, and we're going to take the binomial multiplication.markdown file, and I want to output binomial-multiplication.pdf, and I'm going to run that. Okay, and that was successful. Now I'm going to take the other one, the solution one, and I want to output that. And I'm going to type binomial multiplication solution.pdf. Yeah, let's run that one. And okay, so let's open our files now. And we'll go into our Linux files and our programs here, binomial multiplication. We'll see that we have two PDFs. So let's open one of them, the first one with the problems. So you have a place for your name and the date, and then 100 problems. There's 13 pages, okay? Whoops, didn't want to do that. And then also, we also have the solutions. That didn't quite format that well, so maybe I'll use actually the caret. And I actually did do that in Teacher Bay Teachers, but I could put a little caret in there, and here are our solutions. We got 13 pages of that. All right, so that's how you create a worksheet using C#. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please like, subscribe, and hit the bell for notifications. It really does help the channel grow. You can also follow me on GitHub and give me a star in GitHub. I'll leave a link in the description below. And finally, I'll also leave a link to this worksheet on TeacherPay Teachers. I'll put it up there for $1 in case you're interested. But watching this video is also great support, so thank you for that. And I hope to see you in the next one. Have a great day.